myself.
Yeah, well, you know yourself.
Yeah.
You know? That means you're more productive that way. That's not...
Usually. I'm not sure always, but
well, the comics are good on Mondays, so...
Exactly.
Dudes to Dads is a podcast to help men understand and navigate the transition of being a single dude into a family man. How do we make sense of it all? Well, we probably won't be able to, but let's go ahead and have some fun trying. Dudes to Dads.
Dudes to Dads.
How many different ways can we say dudes to dads?
Dudes to Dads. Dudes to
You know
dads.
what?
Dudes to Dads.
See, you didn't see me doing air guitar to the intro. I just love that. I do. And that is Alan. Alan made that sound.
Yeah, I produced it.
I said, can we sell it? Can we get some money from this?
Probably. I'm not using any things that I can't use. So, like, everything's all naturally recorded. It's all naturally
It's
recorded.
organic.
It's organic. Totally is organic.
It's paid.
But, yeah, at some point, I guess we could.
So if anybody wants to buy it.
Yeah, hit me up. Or you can just listen to it on dudestodads.com.
What's your name?
iPad.
What's your name?
I am Alan Bush.
And I am Jason Kreidman, and this is Dudes to Dads.
That's right.
We probably need to do a formal intro as we just get into talking. How are you, Alan?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Another week, another exciting...
Another day, another dollar.
Another day, another dollar. We are recording late, as we typically do.
Yeah.
We've worked a full day.
The sun is down.
Been up since... Well,
crack of dawn, since the sun was up.
I was up before the sun was up.
Were you?
Yes.
You know, I
went to the gym.
Today. I didn't sleep in today. I slept past my alarm.
Oh, wow.
I got to work on time.
Well, you had mentioned you had been doing...
I was wiped out. Oh, it was a rough weekend.
Mine was, it was good. So anyways, so we've got an interesting show.
Yeah.
I would say good, but I just like changing it up and saying something different.
This one's kind of interesting.
Yeah. But first, I want to get out. We need the people that listen to us to go to iTunes.
Yes.
And Stitcher.
Yep.
And specifically with iTunes to go and provide us a review.
Yeah.
A 5-star review. And then subscribe to the podcast.
Yes.
And what that does is that helps us in the rankings within the podcast community. And what's important about rankings is that as you increase in rankings, it means you increase listeners because more people can find you.
Yep. Naturally, organically.
So sort of like what we do for a living with the search engines.
Very similar. It's basically an
it's very similar,
search engine.
Which I can't manipulate this one.
Right.
I can't do much for this one.
Well, it comes from the natural.
The algorithm is a little bit stronger.
Yeah.
You need reviews and so you can't really...
It's almost solely based on reviews and like tags.
Yeah. So... Also, if anybody has any feedback, comments, questions, love, hate. No, not hate. We don't do hate. But
we're not going to read it. That's all.
Email us at podcast@dudestodads.com. You can find us on Facebook, Dudes to Dads, and Twitter @Dudes to Dads.
That's right.
We also, I think I may have mentioned in the last episode, but I've now seen some awesome signups because people are coming through. On the website, you can get alerts and updates for Dudes to Dads. So when we send out a new podcast episode or just some exciting things are happening with us,
on the website,
we will shoot an email over to you.
Very cool.
So we have an agenda, or I should say a rundown of what we're going to talk about today. We are going to start with a dad's debate.
Okay, right off the bat, huh?
Let's just go straight into it.
Just go into it, man.
No calisthenics, no nothing. We're just going to go straight into a debate.
Anything.
Then we will talk about the battlefield.
Okay.
And this one is about getting out the door for school.
Oh.
Yeah. I didn't even talk about what the debate of the debate is.
That's all right.
That's because I can't even, I don't want to talk about it.
It's hard to preface it?
Yeah, I don't want to do it.
That's the debate, whether or not the preface.
So the battlefield, we'll get into that. I love that one. And which, the battlefield, we have that episode because it's usually something that you're having difficulty with a child and you're battling. Get it? Battlefield, battling. It's kind of a,
I think they get it.
It's my attempt at humor. My kids just say, "Stop, Dad. Just stop.
just leave it alone.
Just stop." And then we've got stuff to do. This one is, I just find this is to be fun. That's all. If this is something you can do with your kids, it's something really, really just fun to do.
Yeah.
You can even do it with the neighbor kids too.
Cool.
I'll explain it.
All right.
And then we've got Light Her Fire.
Yes.
Dr. Ellen is going to talk about kind of the style or how we communicate. And it's an interesting kind of thing. I found that interesting.
Cool.
And then we've got homework. And the homework relates to our previous episode. We talked about caring as one of the C's. So we were talking about the 7 C's, and we were talking about caring. And this one has to do with that. And the homework is about that.
Cool.
And then we've got a quote of the day. And it's by the great Jackie Robinson. Mm-hmm. Which, if you don't know Jackie Robinson, you shouldn't be listening to a male podcast. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not even a huge sports fan.
I know, and you know who he is, so yeah.
So, he was a great soccer player.
Yeah.
No, just kidding. And so that was the quote of the day. So, let's get into it with a dad's debate. So, on this dad's debate, what I wanted to debate with you, Alan, was, is it okay to parent another kid when you are somewhere else? Like, and specifically, maybe you're at a party, or you were at some function, and you see something that just isn't right, and whether it is something that is being done to your child, of course you step in.
Yeah, right.
But I'm thinking of a situation where it's not necessarily your child.
I guess
you're just seeing a situation, and the other parent or somebody is not
there or around or whatever. Right. Or not doing anything.
Right.
It's interesting you say that. I remember being I might have mentioned this before, but this is a long time ago, I was living in Long Beach, and it was the 4th of July. And these kids were lighting firecrackers kind of where everybody was. Like, it was everybody kind of going down to the beach, and there was a little pathway near the beach that you walk around, like a boardwalk almost. And kids were lighting these kind of big firecrackers near there that shoot off. And I was like, I got to go over there and tell them not to do that. No one else is.
Right.
So I went over there. My girlfriend was trying to hold me back, and I literally was dragging her.
How old were these kids?
These kids were probably like 11.
Okay.
They were older kids. They weren't like little kids. And they had firecrackers, for God's sakes. But I mean, I think they had.
So you were bigger than them.
I was much bigger than them. My girlfriend was worried that like their big brother was going to come over, and I'm like, at the time, this is my ex-girlfriend, it's not my current. And I was like, I don't care. Right. And I was got to tell them to stop doing that. So I walked over to them and I just said, hey, light them somewhere else where there's no people here, because people could get hurt.
Right.
And I didn't say it mean. I just said it like that.
Right.
And they were like, oh, okay, and they did.
Yeah.
They went over there. So yes.
Yeah. It's funny. This topic came up in a meetup session or a meetup group that we were at.
Yeah.
Or that we hold, and because one of the dads was talking that he was at a party and he saw the situation, and nobody really did anything. Like, they just kind of let it happen, and then all the moms were talking in a group, like in the corner, like what we should have done, what we could have done, what we didn't do.
Yeah.
And the dads were just like, who cares? But Susie Walton was on 2 episodes ago.
Yeah, episode 27.
Episode 27. And one of the things she talks about is it takes a village.
Yes.
It takes a village to raise kids.
Right.
And I think that is an absolute perfect analogy for this.
Yeah.
That I think that if you see something that you absolutely have the right to parent, quote, parent. Now, how you go about doing that, until here's the problem,
right,
is that not everybody parents like you do.
Correctly.
Well, or that. And so, if you're doing it, does that mean you give other people permission to do it how they would?
It's this very subjective line you walk on.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think that there's an ability to do it to other parent or other kids, but I think it's positive parenting. I mean, it's, you can see a kid doing something wrong. It's okay to talk to them.
Yeah.
About, hey, what's going on? What's making you do that? In that sense of parenting, yes.
Right.
Discipline and punishment or whatever, no. It's not necessarily your job to do that to another parent.
Yeah.
But I've seen multiple situations lately that I had to either step in and just to either diffuse the situation or so I don't feel like I'm super parent, and I'm it's more about just making sure everybody's okay. I mean, there's certain, like you said, there's certain levels. I mean, is everybody safe? If somebody's lighting off firecracker, that's a totally different situation.
Yeah.
It could be something where somebody just was being mean to somebody else, or there's 2 kids that are not playing nice. I mean, especially if we're talking about smaller children.
Yeah.
Let's say toddler to 7, 8, something like that.
Sure.
There's a little bit more leeway. I personally don't mind if somebody was doing that to my kid.
Right.
Especially if it was that way, where they're talking to the child and just saying like, hey, I don't think that's appropriate or whatever.
Right.
Certainly no physical. I mean, I don't want anyone touching my child.
The head,
but the problem is that's how some people parent.
Right. Yeah,
so if you're giving the people permission. The other thing, well, I can tell you, like, we've gone on vacations, we've gone with other families, or we're around other families. Absolutely, because we know their parenting, or we've talked about it beforehand. And I think it's important to do that with your social circle.
Yep.
Is actually say, hey, it's okay. Like, if my kid's doing something, you have full, like,
sure.
I know that your parenting is similar to my style. Yeah. I know you're not going to smack my child.
Yeah.
So I'm totally cool with you doing that.
And I've been over, like, to this day, I remember my
aunts
friends,
and uncles, everybody.
Yeah, my friends' parents.
You're scared of your friends' parents.
Yeah, because they were basically my parents while I'm over their house.
Right.
They're basically, I don't literally think that, but I obey the rules that's going on in their house, and they make them, and they have every right to tell me I'm doing something wrong, and vice versa. If they're my friends over my friend's house, my house, and my parents are there.
I'd be curious to see what people think. I mean, give us an email, podcast really, at dudestodads.com. I think people, there's definitely going to be some people who will say, look, no, it's none of your business.
Yeah,
it's none of your business.
Well, they're going to be then, because it's if people, I don't know, if people think that way.
There's so many degrees of like, what is the kid doing?
Yeah, there's a lot of variances that come in there.
What made me think of this was the situation in the meetup, which was at a party. That these kids, I think maybe one of the kids like grabbed another kid. I mean, they're young kids.
Yeah.
Grabbed another kid and was like, it was a situation that could have been dangerous or something. Then but I don't think the parents stepped in because it wasn't their child and they didn't know what to do.
Right.
It was like there was somebody sitting there and you have to make a split-second decision.
Yep.
I just would not even hesitate.
That's me.
Especially if there's a safety issue.
I'm like, hey, don't do that. That's rude.
Right.
And
I've actually had that situation recently where I had to actually reprimand a child because they were doing something totally inappropriate.
Right.
But at the same time, I didn't want to, like, the question, I guess the next question would be is, do you tell the parents?
That's usually
is it even worth it?
Well, it's usually the punishment enough to tell the parents if they're doing something that reprehensible. Or,
No, I mean, if they were hitting another child or they threw something at them, whatever, you might want to mention it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I know for men, you're stepping on ego there.
That's true. Yeah.
So it's a fine line. Like, don't tell me how to parent my kid. And especially if the kid, let's say that's how the kid is.
Right.
The apple doesn't fall far from the tree.
Yeah. So
I mean, in some situations.
No, you're right. That is a kind of weird fine line to walk.
I mean, if my child was hitting some other child, I'd be really upset.
Sure.
And I would take that personally that, okay, what am I not doing right?
And that's an interesting.
Like, how did I teach my child that was okay?
Right.
Not, wow, well, your child should have defended himself. Boys will be boys.
Yeah, exactly.
I just don't subscribe to that.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, they will be boys, and
sure.
a lot of that stuff goes on.
Yeah,
but when it's rude or there's or talking back,
just outright like that. Yeah, that's kind of blatant.
So we're both in agreement then. It takes a village.
So. I agree with that 100% because I grew up in a neighborhood, like it was called Heritage Circle.
Yeah.
And it was just I knew my friends' parents were basically my parents when I went over their house.
Okay.
Kind of how it went.
I dig it. Yeah. I like it. I think that's a good thing. And there's all this political correctness and stuff too, and people don't want to step on anybody's toes or anything else. But, I do think if we all have to work together,
we do. Yeah.
I mean, if you're watching the kids or whatever, you've got to do that.
Absolutely.
So. And the same thing, I would expect that my kids, if they go over to somebody's house, they can be disciplined.
Yep.
As long as they're not touched.
As long as they're not getting beat.
Right.
Right.
So it's not gonna hurt them.
Right.
All right, cool. Well, that's Dad's debate. Let's move on to the battlefield. One of the craziest, most difficult things in the world that you will learn when you have kids is getting them to school on time.
Okay.
In the morning.
Yeah.
So I'm talking about, elementary school, kindergarten, first, second, third, fourth. That's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah.
So that's what I can only speak of. This is a battle that you'd think after like 2 years, you'd be like, no, listen, you do the same thing every day. It's the same thing going to sleep. We've talked about how going to sleep is so difficult.
Yeah.
But you'd think that they understand it. You're like, hey, we're going to school. You've got to get dressed. You've got to brush your teeth. It's the same routine every day.
Yeah.
Except for summer.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
But other than that,
And
5 days a
ironically,
week.
they get up super early and to watch cartoons or whatever it is.
5 days a week.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. It's been the same thing last year and the year before.
Yeah.
So there's a couple of things, and I actually did these with my kids.
Okay.
So I'm not just talking out of my intestinal tract.
Sure.
I actually did this, and it does help. Now, I will not say that it's perfect. And I'm going to save the last one because I haven't done this one yet. But this is a good one because I just was talking to somebody about this, and they told me the story that they did this.
Oh, okay.
So we're going to build up to it. I like build up. So, a couple of tips. First one, get the kids to bed on time.
Which in and of itself was a whole separate battlefield.
Correct. Well, the battles go from day to day to
Sure,
day to day.
I got you.
Just,
All right,
it carries over.
Yeah, war doesn't last one day.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Rome was not built in a day. So your kids, yes, you're totally right on with that one. So the night before the battle.
Yeah.
But yes, you try to get them to bed on time. Well, that's why you're battling, is because you're trying to get them to bed on time.
Yes, because then this battle becomes a lot easier.
So this one, we actually haven't done this one yet. We're about to, is getting their own alarm clock.
Oh, okay.
So, I think if the kids are a little bit older, which my kids are just getting there, maybe put their favorite music on. Like you could have a CD, you could have iTunes, whatever, and let them wake up to their favorite songs. Mm-hmm. But that's a cool idea. I mean, like you think about how you would want to wake up. The other thing is if you do wake your kids up, like you're the one who walks in there or does whatever, wake them up nicely. Mm-hmm. Like, I remember when I was younger.
Shake the hell out of them.
Well, yeah, or just yell like, "Hey, get up!"
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, how would you like to get up? So, I actually, if it's myself, I often am the one to wake them up in the mornings. Mm-hmm. I'll rub their back, like just really like nicely, like just to get up, and then they, they're stretching, they get up. It's not a violent awakening like a military like it's not how it is, and I mean I wouldn't want to wake up like that,
right?
Like I don't like waking up to my alarm. And I remember hearing studies of like the way that you wake up and the intensity of the music has an effect on your day.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So like if you wake up softly and light versus like, you have speed metal playing, which some people, that's the only way they can get up.
Do you remember the alarm clocks that had that? I mean, everyone has these, I think, as probably our generation.
Throw? Oh, yeah.
Such an abrasive noise.
Yes.
It wakes you up immediately.
It's horrible.
But it's an abrasive noise.
Yeah, I wake up to music.
Yeah,
I mean,
I do too now. My alarm has a softer sound. So.
Yeah, it's a softer sound. But so you can get them an alarm clock, and that just kind of teaching them the responsibility. And so we're on the brink of doing that with my son.
Yeah.
That, I think he's ready for that, where he's like, he can get himself up, he gets himself dressed. I mean, it's, there's no kind of thing. Another issue is have the kids lay out the clothes the night before. So this was something I remember we did as kids too.
Okay.
And the reason being, especially if you have multiple girls, they fight over clothes. But also they, not that everyone does. I just know what happened in my house.
Yeah.
Because they were so close in age.
Yeah.
And so they're always fighting over clothes.
That's funny.
No, in fact, it's funny. I know that I'm thinking about it. My mom made a calendar. And at like the beginning of the month, my sisters I think it started as the week and then it became like a month, had to write what they're going to wear so that they didn't argue. Like down to the earrings.
That's
like
hilarious.
Earrings, shoes, belts, whatever. I mean, they had to write it all down.
Yeah.
And it was just funny. So they had to post it so that they would not argue about, And so
you agreed.
No, totally, like high
contractually,
school.
you signed it.
Well, because they're similar in build, similar size,
Yeah.
like similar in age, But laying out the kids' clothes the night before is a good one. And so, and the other thing, don't forget shoes. Because kids, for whatever reason, especially the younger ones, like cannot decide which shoes they want to wear. It's like some weird, weird thing. And so you want to lay the clothes out because that can take up a little bit of time in the morning. And when you're already rushed, it's just you don't want to have to think about that.
Right.
And let them lay them out. I mean, let them choose their clothes. We don't care. I mean, our kids can choose their clothes. We usually at least just okay it and go, okay, you look somewhat presentable.
Right.
You didn't wear the same pants. My son, although, will go into the dirty pile and just, I want to wear the same pants I wore yesterday. I was like, do you realize that there's dirt all over them? Like, I don't, I want to be flexible that he doesn't have to look pristine and perfect.
Yeah.
But you can't wear the stained pants that you just wore yesterday. At least wait a couple days.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Rotate them out.
They knew that you wore green pants yesterday. He loves these green pants. And I just, Anyways, that's my problems. Because we just went through this like the other day.
That's hilarious.
And so the other thing too, preparing lunches. Remember, kids are capable. We had that sort of concept.
Sure.
That preparing the lunches the night before as well, which we do. My wife is the primary person that does that.
Yeah.
I do once in a while. But laying out the clothes, make sure that the lunches are done too, so you're not scrambling in the morning.
Yeah.
This one was really cool, and I did this one through, somebody had mentioned this to me, is setting up a schedule with specific times. And I think I had mentioned this on the air before, where you literally laying out 7:05 to 7:10.
Yes.
7:10 to 7:15. You do this.
Right.
7:15. Brush teeth. You write it all out. Everything. It's an important.
What if they miss the time or something is going to be a problem?
Well, no, it's just to give them a guide.
Yeah, right.
It's to give them a guide, like, hey, and you can also blame it on the guide or on the schedule. Mm-hmm. So you're kind of like, I say, hey, like, what's say on the schedule next? Or you like ask those questions, and then they're kind of like, oh, it's 7:10. I need to look at, I need to be doing this.
Right.
Otherwise, you get too far away from it.
Right.
And you're screwed.
Right. Yeah.
So if you just, you got to make sure that you're doing that.
Sure.
So you set up a time, schedules, activities. The other thing, make sure the routine things are in the same place. This was Adam Carolla used to say this, like, make sure your car keys are in the same place every day. Yep. Which a lot of people do that stuff, but like, have a place where you hang it. So toothbrush, hairbrush, sunblock, whatever. I mean, we live in Southern California in San Diego. Yeah. Sunblock is almost a daily thing. Yeah, I mean, people in other parts of the country are like, what the? Sunblock? You wear sunblock to school? Yeah. If they have it indoor.
Yeah.
But yes, we wear sunblock. Our kids do. We have very pale children. And they burn easily.
Yeah, yeah.
And so, toothbrush, hairbrush, whatever. And you kind of try to make sure that they're in the same thing. Because I don't know how many times I have heard, where's my hairbrush? I'm like, really? Right. Your hairbrush should be in the same spot that it is every day. Why is it gone? Why is it not there?
Yep.
So just make sure of those things, because this is sort of making the routine a little bit easier.
Yeah, I had to train myself to put my car keys or my house keys in the same spot every single time. And to this day now I do that.
Right.
So it's always in the same pocket every single time. So I know where it is now.
Right. And then the same thing for food. Kind of having food in a similar place, if you will. Like, and what I mean by that is like the cabinets, this is where the cereal is. This is what, and I would assume most people sort of have that.
Sure.
But then also allowing them to get their own food.
Yeah.
So we talked about that, where, they should be getting their own cereal if that's what they eat. They could get the milk. They're perfectly capable of doing that. You don't have to do that for them in the morning. Now,
I couldn't imagine rotating the food out.
Yeah.
The milk's in the oven now.
No, I know. I think what I meant by that was just having somewhat of a routine for the food, or the fact that they can do it.
Yeah. No, it makes sense.
But you're right.
No.
Sorry, son. The milk is in the microwave. That was good. That was funny. But you should allow them. They're totally capable of doing that. Even if they're old enough that they're going to school, they really are old enough to be feeding themselves on most of those items. Yeah. Sometimes we make muffins, like these healthy muffins, and so like they know they can just grab a muffin in the morning. It's it's healthy.
Yeah.
You sort of establish like what they can and can't have, so that you're not sitting there hovering over them and you're the one rustling and trying to. Now, one of the most important things out of all of these is being on time yourself.
Totally.
And parents don't realize that.
Live by the sword, die by the sword.
I noticed that is when we are in a hurry and we're expecting them. And it's funny because my kids have called us out so many times.
That's awesome.
Where I'm going, hey, hurry up, brush your teeth, floss, whatever. And my son or daughter will just be like, Dad, you're not even ready yet. I'm like,
you're in your PJs.
Brush your teeth. Well, I have a tendency to be a little bit more on time. I don't know what the word is. I'm
punctual.
I'm usually not scrambling.
Oh, gotcha.
But, and I wasn't comparing that to my wife. I'm just saying, she gets more stuff done. That's why. Yeah. She's usually doing like 10 different things to try to get out the door. Yeah. Where I'm just like focused on just getting out the door.
Right.
I just have to worry about myself and the two kids. Like, there's nothing else that I can do. So I just leave stuff.
You're right.
So that's the thing, is being on time yourself, and you'll be able to do it. Now, no joke, I was thinking about this, and at the same time I had discussed this past weekend. And a friend of mine was talking to me, and I was telling him about like how difficult it is to get the kids. And he said, he goes, I have the perfect thing. And I've actually seen this done. My family members I've seen this done, and I think it was done to me. is if it becomes a problem over and over and over again where the child is not on time. And they're getting a little bit, I'm not saying a toddler, or whatever. We're talking probably 7, 8, 9.
The age of reason.
Yes, the age of reason. Is you mentioned that the car time is leave, especially if you're taking them to school. I mean, some people walk, ride a bike or bus or whatever. This would be more for if you're driving your kids to school.
Right.
Is the car leaves at 7:45.
Yeah.
Whether you are in it or not. The car leaves at 7:45 and you go.
Right.
And you actually leave the child there, assuming there is another parent there. Don't just leave the child at home. Disclaimer. So a friend of mine did this.
Yeah.
He said his daughter was having trouble routinely. And I think she is 9 or 10.
Okay.
Routinely having trouble, just gets distracted, blah, 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 blah. The mom said, nicely, listen, car is leaving at this time. If you are not on it, and she totally was like, whatever, sure.
Yeah.
And literally didn't think it. Mom took off. Yeah. Child distraught.
Oh, she's
like,
out.
Freaked out. Like, oh my gosh, I'm going to miss school. Just freaking out. She's never, over a year, I think he said, has never missed a day now again.
Just that one incident.
Just one incident. She said, in fact, she's now ready for other stuff. And just realizing, you know what? This is actually really important to be on time because we need to get there at this time.
Right.
And so I just thought it was funny. She said, her whole attitude changed. I'm not saying that style is for everybody. Yeah. But I think I remember my parents kind of doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Hey, if you're not ready. And so I said, well, do you just leave him there? He's like, well, no, he happened to be at home. Yeah. Because he was going in late or whatever that day. And so I think they had agreed to that beforehand. They talked about it.
Kind of plotted it.
So they had, talked about it and beforehand, and we're all,
schemed.
Totally schemed. And so when the mom left, the daughter was there. She's like, Dad, can you take me to school? And perfect. He goes, you know what? I got a lot of stuff right now. I'm too busy. I can't. And so he made her stew in it for I think 10, 15 minutes or something. Yeah. And he's like, all right, come on, let's go.
Yeah.
And then he took her. And,
That's great.
That is awesome. I mean, that is,
like that.
You've got to follow through.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing in and I think, I think my sister did something very, very similar because my nephew was supposed to be in a certain spot and he wasn't there. Yeah. And so, or he always threatens to walk or run or whatever when he was younger. And so they left him. They could see him, but he couldn't see them. It's we've tried those tricks, and it's a fine line. You got to be careful. I don't necessarily recommend leaving your child somewhere.
I like that idea that kind of you learn by actually doing it.
Yes.
And encountering the trouble.
Yes.
The consequences are there early.
Absolutely. Natural consequence.
They're not bad, they're horrible. They're not losing an arm or anything.
Right. Well, no, especially if you're at the house. But and the risk, okay, so they're going to miss school. Right. So what?
Yeah, right.
I mean, it's important to learn that, you know? Yeah. Elementary school's not the end of the world.
Sure,
today,
and they don't know that.
Yeah.
So
no, and especially if they'll make a difference. So I just thought that was great that when he added that anecdote, and I was like, oh man, that's great. That's really good. So let's move on to stuff to do.
Dad, what are we gonna do today?
So Alan, have you ever gone on a scavenger hunt?
Yeah, mostly on Easter.
Oh, interesting.
I think when I was a kid.
That's an Easter egg hunt.
Easter egg hunt. Yeah, maybe that's what I'm thinking.
But what about a scavenger?
Scavenger? Yes, I have done a scavenger.
Even an adult.
As an adult too. Yeah. I have done one as an adult. You have to find certain things like a sign or a certain type of plant.
I think we did it senior year too in high school or something like that. Yeah. So that's what I'm recommending as stuff to do. Cool. Is create a scavenger hunt with your kids.
Okay.
So the idea is first you got to decide where you want to do it. So that's kind of the first thing. So, let's say, if you have smaller children, you can easily just do it in the house. Mm-hmm. It's not like you have to do this outside. Right. You could do it outside. You could do it at a park. You could do whatever. But I'm thinking, for smaller children, you could just easily do it in the house.
Right.
A lot safer. Mm-hmm. And so then you gather, the things that you're going to need. And maybe, it could be everything from a toothbrush to a piece of food to whatever. You make a list of stuff. And, it can be household items. It doesn't need to be, you don't have to go out and buy stuff. You just make a list, So you write out the list. And I would say too, this could be with just one child. depending on their age or whatever.
Sure.
But it's probably more fun with more children.
Yeah, I would imagine.
Yeah, so whether you have siblings or even getting the neighbor kids.
Sure.
2 or 3 kids,
Couple
5 kids,
or
whatever.
Neighborhood
Make
friends.
it fun. You can even do teams, and make some small prize or
Sure.
something like that. But I was reading about this, and I just thought it was a great idea. I mean, because kids first of all, they love hiding stuff.
Yeah.
But they also love finding things.
stuff, yeah.
And so, you know what? I actually think I'm going to try to do this with my kids. I got to find a time to do this. I really do want to do this.
You gonna do it in the house?
I'll have to take some pictures, too.
Yeah.
I'll probably do it in the house.
house.
Just a test.
Yeah. I think it would take more because you could say, hey, find something with a red wrapper on it or something, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Things like that, and then you can just kind of leave them be. But like they're in a park or something like that, you probably have to go hide the item.
Yeah, and take a lot more effort.
Take a little bit more effort.
Yeah. Which, me, effort, but no, I'm willing to make the effort, but I thought this was cool. Maybe, like I said, maybe you have a prize at the end. And you can do it a couple ways. You can do it for time, so it doesn't last forever. You just say, okay, we're going to play this for 15 minutes, and the person who gets the most items wins. That's a great way of controlling it.
We may have done this at the previous company I worked for.
Really?
At one of the later events that was there, we did a scavenger hunt or something.
The one that I worked with you?
Yes, but you weren't there at the time.
Oh, I was going to say.
Yeah. I think we did something like that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That would be cool too. I'm sure companies do it.
Sure.
And it's always fun.
Yeah.
Whether you're an adult or a kid,
It's
you
not
enjoy
fun,
it.
yeah.
Or the other one would be if you have all the items and you can, whoever gets all the items first.
Yeah.
Then wins.
Right.
So either way. But I just thought that'd be fun as something to do with your kids, and do that. So yeah, try the scavenger hunt. If you guys do it, take a picture of it.
Yeah.
And send it in. That would be awesome.
That
we'll
would
post
be
that
awesome,
on our social.
Or if you post it on your social, do hashtag dudes to dads or something.
Yeah, that'd be cool too. Or email us at podcast@dudestodads.com. We'll post the picture up. That'd be really cool if we do that. So cool. So next we've got Light Her Fire, and as I had mentioned, this one is about communication and the style, or sort of what we mean by what we say. So let's go ahead and hear that.
Do you know how many times I hear a couple say, we just don't communicate anymore? Well, Kodak did a study many years ago, and they found that only 7% of our communication is verbal. Body language and facial expressions make up 55% of total message, and then tone of voice, including size, make up the other 38%. So most of the time, it's not what you say, but how you say it, or even what you don't say, that creates bad feelings. Let me give you some examples. What if you ask another couple to join you for dinner on Saturday night, and you hear, we've already made plans, but why don't we do it some other time? I know you heard what was said, but the message you got was, we really don't want to be with you and we're trying to make up an excuse. If you had heard, oh no, we've already made plans, but let's do it some other time, then the words would convey a different message. That message would mean, I wish you would have asked us earlier because it sounds like fun and we'd really like to do it, so we'll have to do it some other time. The same word said in a different tone can mean something totally different.
So how many times have you said something and you thought, I could have probably said that different?
Oh, yeah. That's almost daily.
So, really, it is not what you say. It's it's how you say it.
It's how you say it.
It's so true. The percentages of, body language, tone of voice, all that stuff's crazy.
Yeah.
Versus such a small percentage is actually what you say.
I've learned that over time and in my wisdom of my later years.
Yeah.
That's the majority of it, because I can get away with saying a lot now that I couldn't before because of the way I'm saying it,
right,
and the tone of voice and the choice of words. I can now say and communicate things a lot better.
You are really stinky. What do you say?
You're insensitive to my olfactory nerves.
Right. Yeah. No, I get it though, and this is not only with your spouse or significant other. It's with our kids too. It's totally. There's so many times where we say as parents, or I say, and my wife will say it too. It's try again.
Right.
So they actually will say something, and we're try again. And I don't know if that's the proper way to do it.
No, but I like it.
But
simple.
They rather than don't talk to me in that tone, or something like that. Because it is. It's what the kid's saying is they'll say it in that tone that's a little snappy or a little bratty or whatever. Yeah. And it's totally how they say it to you that we evaluate
It is.
What they're saying.
'Cause you react to it. I mean, even animals react to that way. I mean, so why wouldn't people? I mean, we're all kind of animals. Like, I find that a cat or a dog responds more to how you say things than what you're actually saying. They don't yeah. That's what they hear, probably, right? If you say, "Rah, rah, rah," and you're yelling, then they're like, oh, something's going on. I don't like that energy. And so if someone's saying something to you in a certain tone, you don't like that energy either.
Right.
So if someone's presenting it in a way that makes sense.
That's why I always am really nice when I say pick up your toys. Like, hey, can you please pick up your toys?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And rather than yelling or whatever.
Pick up your toys.
Right. And I mean, it's so true. But the communication we're talking about here is obviously to your spouse
of course.
Or girlfriend, whatever.
Yeah.
And really just knowing how to talk about that and how to say stuff that, you know, even when something's unpleasant, you know, the example that she gave totally makes sense. It's just how you say it, you know, it really is how people will accept it and how people take it. So, you know, you can say the same thing multiple ways and it's just all different of how they're going to take it.
No, I totally agree with that.
So cool. Let's, that was Light Her Fire. Let's go on to Dad's homework. Once again, we were talking in past episode, I think it was 2 episodes ago, about the caring. Mm-hmm. And I even I shared a quote from the last episode about caring. Yep. And the people I think who wrote that had this article, and I'll put a link on the podcast page for this episode. Cool. It was 100 ways to show that we care for our kids.
Oh, okay.
It was great. And so there's a list. I just picked out a couple of them. Yeah. You know. But what I wanted to do was I thought that the dads should pick out at least 10 of these within the next week and do them.
Yeah, okay.
And so I'm going to do them as well. So you pick out 10 of these, do them with your child. So here's a couple examples. I mean, they're simple. I mean, it's play outside together. Okay. You know, this is showing your child that you care about. Remember, we were talking, when we talked about it, it was about listening, it was about interacting with him, and all these things. So play outside together. Another one, if you don't want to play outside, be relaxed in their presence. Just sit with them. Yeah. Just hang out. Yeah. You don't even need to talk about anything. Right. Just sit. Yeah. I mean, how easy is that?
Seriously, and it does show that you care. If you're just there for somebody, sometimes you don't want to hear anything.
Without your phone in your hand.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Or just staring at them. Right.
You know? No electronics in your hands while you're sitting with them.
It just helps to be around them.
Right. Yeah. So the other one was hug them. That's, you know, self-explanatory. Yeah. This one was cool. Share secrets. So, like, just talk, hey, man, I got a secret for you. You know? Yeah. That was kind of cool. And then the other one, this was one I like, too, is show how that you're really excited to see them. Yeah. So, you know, when they come home, or let's say you come home from work, they're typically more excited. Sure. You know, like, hey, what's up? You know, you should do that. Yeah. You know, kind of same thing. So, I don't know. There's 100 ways to show that we care for our kids. And so for Dad's homework, like I said, pick out 10 of these, do them with your kids. I just mentioned a couple. And report back. Let us know how they work. And, you know, I mean, part of it's just creating a connection. Sure. And doing that. So, we're going to finish out with a quote of the day. I told you the great Jackie Robinson said this. Yes. Does anyone ever just say Jackie Robinson, or is it always the great Jackie Robinson?
I think it's sometimes just Jackie Robinson.
Really?
I don't always hear it with the great. No.
Okay.
Yeah.
And he quoted, "The measure of a life is not what life accomplishes, but rather the impact that life has on others."
Yeah. You know what's funny? I just heard something similar to this. It said leaving a legacy. It might have been on
I didn't mention it.
Or something. You might have mentioned it too, but like I heard it on another thing I was listening to earlier. And it was the same thing. It's like your legacy doesn't necessarily have to be about something specific. It's just what impact you have on others is your legacy, essentially. Right. So that totally.
And that's what parenting is about.
Yeah,
you know, that's what we think about. It's like I'm not looking at like what are the accomplishments that I have, and you ask probably most parents. It's like, you know, when they're older, like what are their accomplishments? I'm just so proud that that my kids are now grown good people, you know, or whatever. Yeah. I mean, that's probably what my father would say. I would hope. You know? Right. So I mean, you know, my sisters and I saying, hey, I raised, you know, good people. Yeah. And I was part of that. Sure. You know? And so I think that's really the impact. And even like my mother, who's now passed, but the impact that she had on other people. Yeah. That's what the accomplishment was.
Exactly, yeah.
You know, it's not like, oh, she did this or won this or it was, you know, this.
It's not the awards or the amount of money.
Yeah, I mean, you think about the legacy that she left of just, and even now it's cool because we get to play these CDs and, you know, and hear them. Sure. So, so it was really cool. I liked that how, you know, just that sort of how that resonated and It really is about how you impact others, and that's the mission of this show.
Exactly. We want to impact you.
We're in this together. This is, the parenting is not easy.
Yeah.
It's just not. And, as I spend more time with dads, whether it's the meetup or hearing from people from the podcast, it's just, everybody's sort of going through this stuff.
Right, yeah.
It's nobody's got it right. Nobody's got it perfect.
Yeah.
Some people appear that they're doing it right and they appear perfect. The reality is it's not.
Right.
I mean, every day, it's like I'm so active in this stuff, meaning I read it. I struggle with it all the time.
Right.
It's a constant process of
I can imagine, yeah.
Learning and fixing and doing that. And I appreciate the fact that other people have that same sort of thing,
Yep.
and nobody's got it right. Nobody's got it right.
Right.
Nobody's perfect. And especially, for all the dads out there, it's like, it's important to just keep doing it, keep being involved.
Practice makes perfect.
And I don't have any sort of outro other than our
quote of the
music,
day,
but we should have some sort of, I'm going to have to think about that.
Okay.
Something that, sort of says, blah, 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 blah. Not like Seacrest out, but, something.
We're not doing Seacrest out.
No, we're not. Criedman out. No. Like words of wisdom that we just,
Throw in there.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
Although the quote of the day is kind of our.
It kind of is the way to do it, but we can. Maybe
but it's interesting to talk about what we're going to do while we're on the air. What
this is our thoughts, and you get to hear them.
You don't want to know my thoughts. My brain's like mush. It's like it's the end of the day. That's what happens. Full work day.
Exactly.
I think I got up at 4:40 this morning.
Did you?
So, yeah.
Jeez.
So a couple.
Yeah.
That's just what happens.
The wind down.
Yeah. So with that, thank you for joining us.
Absolutely.
Listen to us on Stitcher as
iTunes.
well as iTunes.
5 stars, and just leave a review and subscribe. That's
right.
Great.
And you can subscribe
You
now.
don't even have to leave a review. Just subscribe and leave just a comment.
You can also sign up your email on the website and get updates and alerts. Something. Absolutely. So with that, Alan, thank you.
Thank you.
And we will see you next week. Bye.